radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Tuesday, January 26th, 2021. "26 days into the new year. Only 339 days left. That's right. Tonight, we are live. We're live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planets. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? What a beautiful day. A little nippy outside here in Burbank, but in a great mood. Enjoying my new haircut and feeling human again and all of that stuff. Tonight, on Fade to Black, Roy Firestone. Unbelievable. Roy Firestone is here. We're going to be discussing tonight the art of talk. That's what we are going to do. I more on that in just a bit. Very excited about tonight. And then tomorrow night, it's Zadok Ra Osiris, also here with us for the first time. And we're going to be talking about a lot of things tomorrow night and introduce Zadok. He's a radio host and he's got his own things going on, and you may have listened to his show. But I am introducing him to the Fade to Black audience for the first time, and he is also going to be with us on the Conscious Life Expo, which is coming up February 19th through the 21st of February next month. Okay, and you can head over to ConsciousLifeExpo.com. I encourage everybody to do that. Go and get your passes. Get signed up. Get ready. Get your avatar on. All right, get over there. I'll be hosting all weekend long, Friday through Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, all right. Now, where am I? Let's just jump straight into it, shall we? Shall we do that? I think we should. Oh, everybody, I introduced you to Momo last night. Here's Momo, still here with me. There's Momo. So I've got a co-host here in the studio. And now I want you to go over there. Oh, yeah. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good night tonight with Roy. I want you to get your own crystal skull. Head over to EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Visit Carolyn Ford. She is the absolute very best. Has the most amazing stuff over there. So head over to EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. We have links. Promo code is Jimmy for 10% off of your order today. Follow me on Twitter at J Church Radio. You can follow Roy Firestone on Twitter at Roy Firestone. All of that is up and ready to go in our feed. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox right there on Twitter. And, of course, we have all of the chat rooms open. And you can head over to Spreaker and KGRA, The Planet. All right. Now, with all of that, what a busy day and a great day. And the excitement around here with having Roy on the show tonight and last night with Anomaly, tonight with Roy, tomorrow night with Ra, very, very cool. Let's see. Hold on for a second. Hang on. Just hang on, everybody. We'll, hang on. Okay, I have to do something in real time, and it's very hard to do the 20. Okay, yeah, this is cool. Getting text from Roy Firestone. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hashtag F2BQ is Fade to Black Questions. Let's get to all the breaking news. This is crazy. It's finally happening. Finally happening. A pair of investors are joining the first fully private flight to the International Space Station, not as financial backers, but as passengers flying along. Houston-based startup Axiom Space today unveiled that real estate investor Larry Connor and Canadian investor Mark Pathy will fly on its upcoming AX-1 mission. The pair joined former astronaut Michael Lopez Alegria, and will be the commander of the flight, and former Israeli fighter pilot Ethan Stibb. Connor will be the mission's pilot, which will make him the first private space flight pilot. Axiom, last year, signed a deal with SpaceX for the mission. Elon Musk's company is scheduled to launch the all-private crew no earlier than January 2022. Think about that. Using a Crew Dragon capsule to carry them to the space station. The mission comes at a steep price, though. $55 million per person. But will net them an 8-day stay on the space station, so think about that. All right, many people living on America's East Coast were without internet earlier today because of Verizon Fios service issues. Outages were from Boston to New York to Washington and locations in between, and people also reported outages on several other services, including Gmail, Zoom, and Slack. Verizon noticed its verified Twitter account earlier today, saying that a fiber had been cut in Brooklyn, New York, with no estimated time for a fix. Also, today, NASA has announced that 5 asteroids that are between 25 and 100 meters in diameter are due for close flybys before the month is up. Got a week to go. So tonight, the 25-meter, 100-foot asteroid 2021 BD3 and 2021 AL, which measures 40 meters in diameter, will pass by Earth at a distance of around 2.5 million miles. This Thursday, 2 days, this Thursday will be the 40-meter 2021 BZ. It's going to shoot past Earth at 1.2 million miles. And then on Friday, asteroids 2021 AG7 at 100 meters in diameter, 300 feet. And the 30-meter 2021 AF7 will pass by Earth at 4.2 million and 6.8 million kilometers, respectively. Let's get this show cracking. Today, happy birthday to Cinderella frontman Tom Kiefer. Today is 59 years old. Our dead guy's birthday today is, moment of silence, please, Eddie Van Halen. 1955 to 2020, died earlier this year, or in 2020 at the age of 65. Eddie was probably the most influential musician of a generation and one of the greatest guitar players in the history of the world, and certainly looked like he was having fun while doing it. Yes, he changed everything. Eddie died of a stroke at St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica, California on October 6th, 2020. Unbelievable. At the age of 65, surrounded by his wife, Janie, his son, Wolfgang, ex-wife, Valerie Bertinelli, and his brother, Alex. On this day in history, 2020, a helicopter carrying Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, and 7 others crashes in Calabasas, California, killing everyone on board. Fader fact. Okay, I didn't know this. The first oranges weren't orange. Nope. The first oranges ever imported to the West were from Southeast Asia and were tangerine pomelo hybrids that were green in color. In fact, oranges grown in warmer parts of the world, such as Vietnam and Thailand, today stay green throughout their lifetime. I didn't know that. There you go. Tonight, very special guest, Roy Firestone is here. We're going to be discussing tonight the art of talk. Tomorrow night, it is Zadok Ra Osiris with us for the first time. And, of course, Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. The call-in number, you know what it is, 747-228-2051. And right now I need to hit this River Moon coffee. I got 3 hours of exciting show coming up. Got to keep those energy levels high. That's right. RiverMoonCoffee.com. No, RiverMoonWellness.com. RiverMoonCoffee.com might take you there, but it's RiverMoonWellness.com, and we have all of the links over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Fade to Black Blend, Game Changer Blend. Oh, man, the best coffee in the world. Promo code F2B Blend will get 15% off of your order today. All right, now, here we go. Tonight, our guest is Roy Firestone. And it's like this. Roy is considered by many to be the very best at the interview, which, of course, puts me in a very strange position, doesn't it? You see, he's a professional. He's certainly seen and heard everything before over the years. But will he listen to my style and ways of doing things? Probably not. Nope. Not worried about it, though. He knows that I've been doing this for a long time, and he trusts, as any professional would, that I have a decent grasp on what I'm doing, and he has extended the courtesy to me as a broadcast professional to sit down and talk. Really looking forward to it, by the way. But now, I'm not going to bring any of this up during our conversation tonight, so I wanted to maybe enlighten all of you on a few things as you, hear the show move along. So I thought I'd give you a little background on how Roy ended up on Fade to Black this evening. And it all starts back in 2008. I signed up for Facebook. And as we all know, back then I was doing sports, and that's what I wanted to do. Well, let's say this. That's what I wanted to do at that time. Okay? But back then, it was a different world on social media. And back then, I was just starting out in broadcasting, and most of my Facebook, radio connections were in sports. And I'm still friends with all of those connections from back in the early days of Facebook. And one of them is Roy Firestone. And it was so cool back then, too, as well. Because, especially here in Los Angeles, there is a a certain amount of sports radio stations, and it's a small community, and generally speaking, everybody knows everybody. All right. Well, Roy, he was part of Facebook from the beginning, and certainly was part of our little circle of sports radio broadcasters, right? And over the last 13 years, I followed his post. I commented once in a while, and generally, we just stayed in touch. But to be clear, I doubt that he knows anything about me or Fade to Black or, anything outside of seeing, our post and my stuff that I do. He just knows that I've been hanging out, and I'm a fellow broadcaster that pops up once in a while in his news feed. That's about it. But I've been cruising around for 13 years, and I decided to reach out and invite him on the show. And, I mean, he knows I'm not a stranger. He knows I'm not new to the game. And he just replied within a minute or two, and he's just like, hey, yep, absolutely, man. Let's do this. And in a strange way, I expected it, because 13 years is a long time in any universe. And, that still means something. So 10 years ago, tonight would have been impossible. It just would have been impossible. Absolutely, totally out of my league. That's the truth. No big deal. But today, I can't wait for the conversation to start. I can't. And it's just like anything else. I mean, you don't just buy a guitar, right, and jump on stage with Eddie Van Halen the next day. That's not how it works. Yeah, you got to give it a few years or 10, right? But when you reach a certain point, you're comfortable in yourself and you understand your craft. Well, when you can hang. You know this. And at that point, that's when you want to play with the best. That's just the way it is. You're not worried about things. You just want to hang out. And tonight, yeah, I get to hang out with Roy Firestone. Life is good. And there's another reason why tonight is kind of special for me personally. Because I have said over and over again on this show over the years that I have studied the art of talk radio and the interview, and I've done this for decades. Decades. You can go out, head to Amazon, you can buy a USB microphone, plug it into your laptop, and now you're a broadcaster. There's many ways you can do it. You can just cut stuff, go to YouTube. Blog Talk Radio, I don't know. There's plenty of Facebook Live. You do whatever you want. Live stream anywhere. You can go and do it. You can now record. You can record the video, the audio. Bring somebody in on a Skype call, Zoom call, interview, whoever you want. You can do it solo. Whatever you want to do. Anybody can do it. Now, but buying a USB microphone, headset, laptop, doesn't make you a broadcaster. Doesn't make you a seasoned show host. You need to study. You need to practice. You need to put in the time. And I remember after years and decades of studying and listening and wanting to get into broadcasting, get into radio, even when I thought I was ready, and I go through school and I do, and I'm like, man, I am ready to go. And those out there that were willing to, I just wanted to intern somewhere. I just wanted to get my foot in the door. And I knew that if I just got my foot in the door anywhere, that I would wiggle my way onto the air. Everybody could hopefully see and hear what I was about and go, you know what? Okay, we'll give you We'll give you an overnight slot for a couple of hours. We'll put you on weekends. We'll put you on Sunday night. But that it would eventually happen. Those people that were in the position to do that, I think that they saw the diamond in the rough side of things, but this is what they said. 2 years. You've got to put in 2 years of airtime before you can cut it anywhere else, before we will back you up and put our name. I was just like, wait a minute, what? I don't have that kind of time. We need to do this now, man. And now I understand what everybody meant. It's not easy. It's not easy. You've got to put in the time. Now, here I am, 13 years later, and 2,000 shows down, 2,000 interviews down in play, and I'm still finding myself. I'm still getting comfortable. So going out and buying that Bluetooth microphone and plugging it into your laptop and going in and then it doesn't make, you need to put in the time. And that's what I did. I absolutely studied. I did everything that I could to learn from everybody. You cannot learn and progress if you don't have teachers to guide you. And for me, it was studying the tapes, studying, watching, listening to the different styles, to the mistakes, the good and the bad. You have to do this. I put in hours, I put in days, I put in years of intense study. And you have to do this. You've got to, because it's an investment. So my advice to all of you, just don't rush into it. You want to do a podcast? You want to do a live radio show? You want to do you know what? Put in the time, put in a couple of years, cut tracks, cut this, make the mistakes, do everything, but you need to find yourself. You need to find your head. It's the only way to move forward. But today, if you're going to go back and study and look at who is the best, one of them is Roy Firestone. And anybody in the game today, anybody that wants to get in the game today, owes so much to Roy. He has and continues to show us how it's done. Now, one last thing, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Conversation is not easy. No, it is not easy. I do it for 2.5 to 3 hours a night, coast to coast, 4 hours a night. Roy makes conversation look easy. It is not. It's not easy. He makes it look so easy. He does. He makes it smooth. Makes it smooth. That's because he comes prepared. He does his homework. He is a true professional. This is the one thing I've learned from him over the years. And it's very simple. Don't ever try to phone it in. You're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. I don't phone it in. I don't. I prepare. And I know that at times, not only with myself, but other broadcasters out there, and certainly Roy's another example of that, they don't seem like they have to do anything. It's because they come prepared. That's why. That's why. Oh, it must be easy to just flick on the studio light, sit down, put on a pair of headphones, sit in front of a microphone, and then boom, 3 hours of content just pops out. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It doesn't. And I remember, I like it was yesterday, when I would see Roy do an interview smooth and think to myself, man, you know, I want to do it like that. That's the standard. And all of the greats out there have that ability. I'm not sure. There may be somebody out there that didn't prepare. They didn't do anything. We'll talk to Roy about that tonight, but there's just no way that you can get through it. You can't. And if you try it, you're gonna get caught. Seriously. Don't ever try to phone it in. I don't. And I know. Listen to me. I know what you're thinking. That, you know what, Jimmy has so much fun on the show. He just comes in and boom, 7 o'clock. And the next thing you know, it's 10 o'clock. 3 hours have gone by. It's just amazing. It's just boom. He just has to just come in and sit down. It's not like that. I start prepping for this show 8 hours ago, 9 hours ago, all the way up. When you see me sit down at 7 o'clock, I am literally 5 minutes out of doing a sound check and my last little piece of show notes. And it takes all day. So think about that. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Very excited about this tonight. Roy Firestone is here. Also, tomorrow night, Zadok Ra Osiris is with us, also another first-time guest. And it's these weeks on Fade to Black for me that are so special. So get ready. I'll be right back after this short break. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Follow me at JChurchRadio. You can follow Roy at Roy Firestone. All of Roy's links and his books and everything else, his website, is over at jimmychurchradio.com. It's going to be a great night. Get comfortable, settle in. Let's do this. Man, we'll be right back.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on jimmychurchradio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to River Moon Coffee. F2B blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at Jimmy Church Radio.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. GetTheTea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Roy Firestone. He's here for the first time, and we are going to discuss the art of talk. That and so much more. Roy, of course, is a 7-time Emmy Award-winning and 7-time Cable Ace Award-winning host, interviewer, narrator, writer, and producer. As the groundbreaking original host of ESPN's legendary Up Close Classic, and Up Close Primetime, he has interviewed more than 5,000 athletes, musicians, actors, and political figures, as well, of course, as scores of writers and filmmakers. Sports Illustrated called Firestone the best interviewer in the business. Jim Murray once said Roy Firestone isn't just the best sports interviewer I've ever seen. He's the best interviewer, period. Big words, but not limited to television. He is also a prolific writer on the printed page, and he's the author of 2 best-selling books, Up Close with Roy Firestone, and most recently, Don't Make Me Cry, Roy. And tonight we're going to discuss his latest work, That's What I'm Talking About, and Kobe and a Boy Named Roy. I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Roy Firestone. Roy, good evening, man. How are you?
Jimmy, thank you for having me. I'm fine, thank you. What's going on?
What's going on with you? No, actually, hey, Roy, this is what we do here with a first-time guest. We do a first-time guest disclaimer. You ready?
Okay. Go ahead. For it. Let's have the disclaimer.
Yeah, the disclaimer is, Roy, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. And where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends. But we're going to end as friends. There you go.
Always.
Right on. Now, listen, what is... we set this show up a while ago. Now, I didn't realize at the time of the significance of today, and of course the 1-year anniversary of the tragedy out there in Calabasas with Kobe Bryant and his daughter and 7 other passengers. And before I get to the obvious question about that date, here we are a year later. How are you with it today? Where's your mind?
Probably where most anybody who really loved him, knew him, or liked him, or followed him is. I don't think I'm any more, touched by the event than anybody else is. I think I did know him. I did know him pretty well. I interviewed him 7 times. I like to think I had a pretty good relationship with him, and I'll tell you the first time I met him in a second. But, sports world grieves and then it moves on. But in Los Angeles, the grieving continues. And it's interesting to note, Jimmy, that Vanessa Bryant told the Lakers radio flagship station, the lead station, yesterday that it didn't want any shows programmed remembering Kobe or anything like that, which surprised me a little bit, to be honest with you. But it was because she doesn't want to relive it again. And I don't blame her. I understand that. She lost her daughter. She lost her husband. And they honored it. So they didn't do any programming today that remembered Kobe, which is kind of interesting to me. I did in my Facebook posts. I did want to talk a little bit about it. I will tell you a little bit about my background with Kobe. I think we may have mentioned this before. Maybe I did to you or to someone else, but certainly I've talked about this. That is, the first time I met him, he was not even 18 years old. And he came onto our remote set and on a rainy day. And I remember lightning hit the building, blew out our lights for the interview, for the camera interview. And my crew said, hey, it's going to take us 2 hours to get new lights. So you got to tell Kobe this. This is a 17 and a half, 18-year-old kid. And I said, well, Kobe, do you want to leave and come back? He says, no, I'm not coming back. I said, oh, God, this is great. I lost my interview. He says, no, I'm staying. And he stayed with us for 2 hours and 20 minutes before we got our lights back. Talked to us in Italian, spoke to us in fluent Italian, also what it was like to grow up in Italy as a little boy, being a fan of Milan and soccer, and talking about his dreams. And I wish the cameras were rolling even there, even though there was no picture because it was too dark.
Right.
And that really struck me because he also wanted to know about things. He wanted to talk about how the camera worked and who does the editing and how do you edit. And I realized years later that this was a kid that was really unique because he wanted to learn, and he wanted to learn about everything. And I believe the tragedy, of course, is for 9 members of a family, one family or another. But the other tragedy, of course, and it's equally significant, is we never got to see what he was going to become outside of the game. And I believe that Kobe Bryant would have been a leader in women's sports. He could have been a commissioner in the WNBA, say. He could have certainly had a part ownership of the Lakers. He had a burgeoning film directing and producing career as executive producer. He won an Academy Award. People may or may not remember that. So I think obviously it's tragic on so many levels, so many families touched, as you mentioned before, 9 total were killed. But we never got to see what Kobe Bryant might have been as an older man and what he would have done. And I likened it to Buddy Holly losing his life in Iowa when the plane crashed the day the music died. Don McLean's famous song with the lyrics is really about Buddy Holly. We never got to see. He was only 22. At least Kobe was about 40. But it was a similar thing in the sense that Buddy Holly, we never knew what was going to become of him. He died tragically with other people as well, J.P. Richardson and Richie Valens. But this was a devastating loss in sports. So in answer to your question, yeah, I feel it. It impacts me, but so do millions of other people feel it too. So I'm not unique in that area.
He I think for most of us, including yourself, he hadn't grown up yet. He still looked like a kid, right?
Yep.
And that was part of the impact. Even for you meet him when he's 18, he's 40. He's still the kid to all of us.
Sure. A lot of life to be led. I'll tell you, there's some interesting things. I'll give you a couple of quick anecdotes about Kobe. I said I interviewed him at 7, I think maybe 8 times. One night we were doing an interview, and I had to go all the way to Memphis to do the interview. And as I'm doing this interview, before we're setting up, and again, there's no Kobe. And he can't. Are you there? You can hear me, right? I'm getting another call. I don't know if this is not interfering. It's an interfering, is it? I don't know.
Just a little clip here or there, but
okay.
We'll get through it.
Sorry about that. But there's no Kobe, and it's 30 minutes, and now it's 45 minutes, and this is much later in his career. Now it's an hour, and I'm going, oh God, it's Friday night. I'm in Memphis. We flew all the way in for this interview. He's blowing us off. But he wasn't blowing us off. What he was doing, and this is so Kobe, he was at this place called the Pyramid, which is the arena where the Memphis Grizzlies play.
Right.
And taking 2,000 jump shots in an empty arena on a Friday night with one other person. He came to our set dripping wet. He says, I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't like the way I shot last night, so I just took 2,000. He wasn't looking for some chick or something. He was out there working. And that's the thing about him. He always wanted to be better. And I was not only not offended, I did the first part of my interview about his discipline and his ethic and his athletic integrity. And it was a fascinating interview, but that was just another story. You know, he had his darkness. We know that. It's been well chronicled. He was involved in an issue that was never adjudicated. There was no verdict in the trial of an accused rape. He denied it, but they settled it. And for the rest of his life, at least the way I felt it was transpiring, Kobe had a kind of lament, a kind of deep regret in how he let everybody down, including his wife. And he believed that he was the cause of one of her miscarriages. And he really, really believed that. It was because of his irresponsibility. And he was very emotional about it and talking about it. But he's gone. We will really never see a player quite like him again, I don't think. I mean, you could talk about Steph Curry and you could talk about LeBron, but there was something singularly unique to Kobe Bryant. And the last thing I want to say, Jimmy, is the first time I interviewed him, I was struck by how much his voice physically, audibly, I should say, reminded me of Michael Jordan. He sounded like Michael Jordan. His voice sounded like Michael Jordan. So I said, at one point in the interview, I said, you know, Kobe, you're a young kid, but you have a deep voice like Michael Jordan. He says, by design. I said, what? He said, I'm impersonating Michael Jordan's voice because I want to basically shadow his entire career. I want to be everything he was and more. And he watched every film clip. He watched every highlight, watched every interview he could get on the internet, and of course watched them on live TV too, because he wanted to not just be like Mike, he wanted to be better than Mike.
Now, I want to ask you about that personally. With you, I have to study. I have to study those that came before me. And work on the art of talk. I've been doing it for a long time. But you, who did you look up to? And did you, in the beginning, did you accidentally imitate somebody else?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it's funny you said that because, you know, as you know, I'm an impersonator. I do celebrity impressions. And for much of my early part of my career, I was really trying to impersonate a sportscaster. Obviously, I do. How it goes, Sal. Hello again, everybody. How it, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
That's not the voice I had as I was impersonating a sportscaster. I was impersonating a little of everybody. I mean, maybe a little bit of not literally the impersonation, but the style of people like Jack Whitaker, who I thought were great. I thought that Haywood Hale Bruin was a great announcer type. I liked people later on in my career, like Larry King, who I'm sure we'll talk about in a few moments. Mm-hmm. Larry King was a tremendous interviewer. Ted Koppel, much later in my career. But these were people I really looked up to. And as you said, you study. And while you don't want to completely ape somebody else and try to be exactly the way they are, I don't think I could. I admired a lot. I admired my friend Bob Costas, who remains a close friend of mine, and how he did interviews. I never, ever thought I was the best interviewer. A lot of people said I was. I'm very flattered by that. Sports Illustrated was just doing a thing today about that. They said I was, and I'm flattered by it. I don't think I was the best. I don't think I was the luckiest either, but I do think I was somewhat of the more opportunistic interviewer in that. When I got my show, there was one of one. There wasn't 800,000 with all due respect, Skype shows, Zoom shows, internet shows, podcasts. I was one of one. And so every guest that I got wanted to come on the show, wanted to be interviewed by me, and I sort of dressed myself up in my career by their fame, and it worked. And I did 5,000 interviews, and not every one of them I'm super proud of. Some of them, have sources of embarrassments, but largely when you do 5,000 of anything, you're going to screw up a lot. And I did, and I learned. I think now I'm a better interviewer than I will ever be in my life because of my life experiences. And so in answer to your question, lots of people were inspiring to me, but I think we're probably going to end up talking a little bit about Larry King, who just passed away 2 days ago.
And I read let me just say this out of the gate, Roy. You and I, we both know I've been engaging with you for 13 years now on Facebook. And I read your stuff. You have lately started to really open up over the last couple of years. And I respect that. I cannot wait for your next post. I'm just letting you know. But that being said, you said a couple of things after Larry King's passing, and I want to go back and address some of those, not necessarily about Larry. We'll get to that in a second. But you talked about preparing. And I thought about that an awful lot, your take on it. But then I've heard you say over the years that although you don't necessarily have extensive notes in front of you.
I've never written a question down.
Right.
But I have put a word down so I wouldn't forget. Oh, I got to ask him about the widow of the brother. There was that story where he lost his sight. I write stuff down to remind me, but I'll never write a question. I get a lot of young people ask me, what's the number one thing? The number one thing is stay engaged. Stay engaged. Listen carefully. Don't be thinking of your next question while someone's giving you the answer. And sure as hell, if you're thinking of your next question while they're giving an answer, it'll be something like, and that's why I always felt that I was too poor to even play organized ball. Your next question is, did you ever feel like maybe you were too poor to play? That's the crap that's going to happen to you if you're not listening. And it happened to me a lot early in my career. You get ready to have the next question without listening to the previous answer. But I never wrote interview questions out. I did want to have to remind my mind not to forget 3 or 4 anecdotes, but always stay engaged. That's more important. I think one of the things that Larry King did very, very well, and Larry is my friend, and I grieve with the people who loved Larry and knew Larry. He had 8 marriages and seven marriages, 8 total times, and married one woman twice. So it was 8 marriages effectively. But he also lost his son and he lost his daughter and he got a divorce all within a few weeks in this past year. So it was really kind of a sad, tragic ending for him. He was a curious guy. And I think if you ask me, if a long form interview, and I don't mean a sideline interview where you got 30 seconds to ask the coach what kind of offense they're going to play in the second half. I'm talking about a long form interview. You really better be curious and you better have some ideas of what you want to do. Tell the story as best you can, but remember that you must stay engaged. You must listen to what, and people say, well, there's some bad interviews. Yeah, there are so-called bad interviews. But I like to think that at my best, when things were working best for me, my interview guest was someone who was enjoying the conversation and was willing and to reveal something of themselves that they wouldn't in a short soundbite. And that is what, my friend, is missing in media these days. We're looking at sound bites and we're not looking at conversation and in-depth interviewing. And not just sports, by the way, and everything. And I think we have short attention spans now. I think young people and all kinds of people don't have the patience to listen to an interview. But boy, when Larry King was at the top of his game, particularly in Mutual Radio on the overnight show, I don't know if you remember that, he was spectacular. I thought he was better on radio than he even was at CNN. And I told him that. I knew Larry since I was 15 years old. And he helped raise me in the broadcast realm. And I'm very grateful for that. He had his He had his picadillos like everybody does. But Larry was a sterling interviewer when he was on his game, which was most of the time.
Now, I just want to comment on this. This conversation isn't about me, but I worked for Vin Scully for about 2 years, and which you probably know about. But the point is, at that time, I'm in school for broadcast, right? And I said, so Vin, I want to be a sportscaster, and you know what his answer was? Good luck. And but there was something that I learned from him, just like you, and I want to share this with everybody. I would pick up Vin at his house at about 1 PM. Now, he lived in 2 houses, as you know. He was out in Sherwood Country Club for a while and then moved to Hidden Hills. I would pick him up at 1 p.m. We would drive to Dodger Stadium. 1 p.m. Okay? He is prepping. He works all the game's not going to start until 7. And it's not going to end until 9:30 or 10 o'clock that night if there isn't extra innings.
Oh, yeah.
His work ethic, and I was there to witness it. He didn't take a nap, right? He went full circuit, and we would, I would take him home, and we would talk about the game and things in the car, and he was always on his game. His work ethic was incredible, and it taught me so much. And he didn't take anything for granted. That's the one thing I walked away from Vin with.
I believe that there are people in this industry who will draft off of what they had done earlier in their career. That is to say, they're to use the cliche, they're resting on their laurels or whatever you want to call it, or they're looking back and saying, "Hey, I did this, and this, and therefore I deserve this job now." I believe that never, ever occurred to Vin Scully. I think every broadcast was equally as important as his first broadcast. There's another guy who I believe painted real pictures with his words and his voice, and set the drama, and knew exactly when to get in and get out. He knew when to tell a story, when to drop out of the story, and not to get lost in the story ahead of the ball game. He had a great rhythm to him. But you said it best. He really, really prepared, and he really had a great work ethic that lasted 67 years as a broadcaster with the Dodgers. That's incredible at the microphone. 67 years at anything, let alone at the microphone, where things are changing. People are younger. The game is changing. There's too many different cultural impacts that are going on a day-to-day basis. And while he was never the hippest guy in the room, he didn't want to be, because he wasn't choosing to be hip. He was choosing just to be effective and be the best he could be. And I really could tell you that even in the last 3 years, he made a mistake or two, or he tripped up on a couple of things here and there, maybe got a first name wrong. But I'm telling you, you're in your 80s at the microphone for a baseball game where you have to fill, in addition to the play-by-play, literally 3.5 hours. And most of the time he worked by himself. I mean, he had a producer, but he didn't have doing a game and still being as good as just about anyone else in the profession. And he did it over a period of 67 years. Incredible.
Did you ever lock down a Vin impression?
I tried. Jimmy, what a marvelous story I could tell. That's about as far as I could get. But the thing about Vin was he had a very unique voice. And he had that kind of a strange speech pattern that made him, when you really think about it, John Miller, the voice of the Giants, and before that the Orioles, does a tremendous Vin Scully, and so does Bob Costas, I might add. But he was not a guy that was too easy to parody. Howard Cosell was easy to parody because of the way he talked. Or Kate Jackson, get about it, Kate Jackson, that kind of thing.
Right.
That's easy to parody. But Vin Scully was hard to parody. And I definitely loved to listen to him. His voice was very soothing to me. And he was never rushed. He was never hyped. He was never a hype guy. He was never a homer, which he hated homers, hated people who was constantly plugging the team. Come on, guys, we got to get some runs here. He never did that stuff. He hated that stuff. Harry Carey was different. Harry Carey was, hello again, everybody from Chicago. Harry Carey and Steve Stone. We're here. The Cubs are playing the Pirates. There would be it was more festive. But Scully was a reporter, broadcast play-by-play man, had a lot of elegance, but he never lost the dignity of being who he was. Just the very best. And I want to tell you something else, Jimmy. He's not just the best sports broadcaster who ever lived. He's the best broadcaster who ever lived when you consider everything. Not Edward R. Murrow, not Walter Cronkite, not Chet Huntley, not, any of those people could have done what he did for as long as he did it and do it as well. I'm telling you, he was the greatest broadcaster in the history of broadcasting, not sport, and always, always as good as just about any time in his career. He was always solidly excellent at what he did.
He was the best. And we've got to take a break right here. But let me, Roy, I'm just going to share this with you. I remember the first time I went up with him into the press box at Dodger Stadium. And we walked through, and it says, above the entrance, as you know, it says the Vin Scully Studios, right?
Mm-hmm,
so we walk in, and he goes, Jimmy, the best part? You've got Dodger dogs for free. And I was like, life is good, man. Life is so good. Let's take our break right here. Roy, you stay right there. This is Fade to Black. Roy Firestone is with us. Tonight, we are going to continue the art of talk. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Roy after this short break. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Roy on Twitter at Roy Firestone. All of Roy's links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. RoyFirestone.com, and all of his Amazon links are right there. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Tonight, Roy Firestone is with us, The Art of Talk. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Roy right there on Twitter at Roy Firestone. Of course, he's always hanging out there on Facebook. You've got to check out Roy's mind every single day. It's amazing to go through. Now, this is where I want to go next, Roy. Mm-hmm. How do you keep yourself out of the interview?
You don't. I don't think you do. I think you don't make it about yourself, but you have to be invested in the interview to where your point of view, your thoughts about a question are part of the conversation. I think it's important to, again, there's a difference between making it about you and making the conversation flow properly. Howard Cosell was notable for saying, "As I know exclusively that no one else knows, the tragedy of Darrell Porter and I recognize." He made it about himself. Howard Cosell's a legend. There's no doubt about it. He had a lot of incredible, great moments in broadcasting. But let's face it, he was pretty narcissistic. And by the way, I think a lot of people in broadcasting are pretty narcissistic too. I mean, I think Larry King, and I said this in my article that I wrote, he was a narcissist, but he wasn't a deadly narcissist. He didn't suck air out of a room, but he really wanted to make everything about himself. I think there's a difference between trying to make an interview about you and also try, and the difference is, and being part of the interview where you maybe reference something that happened in your life that brings you up to a question. I had hundreds of interviews where I would say, as a kid, I had this experience, and I wonder, I told this story once. I'm trying to remember who it was. It might have been Hank Aaron, but I was a little boy and growing up in Miami, Florida, where I'm from. I don't know if it was Hank Aaron, but let's just say it was. And I remember going to get a drink of water as a little kid, maybe 7 or 8 years old, and it said colored and white. And I went to the colored water fountain because I thought, as a little boy, that meant orange, grape, cherry. I thought the water was going to be colored. I had no concept at all of discrimination and separatism, as it was in Miami for many, many years. I referenced that story to whoever my guest was. Let's say it was Hank Aaron. And I got a better interview because he understood that I could relate, even as a little boy, a white kid who saw that separatism and discrimination and how it affected me. It made me weep as a little boy when I was finally told that that's not what colored water fountain means. And so I related that question. So Jimmy, in answer to your point, yes, sometimes you can make it about you as long as you don't swell up and make it only about you in an interview.
You just mentioned it may have been Hank Aaron. I find that interesting. After 5,000 interviews, Roy, have you possibly forgotten more than you remembered? That's a lot of interviews.
We did a lot of interviews. There's a lot I forgot. There's a lot I'll never forget. I certainly wouldn't forget Hank much of anything. Very, very humble man. For a superstar, he was one of the most humble people I've ever met. He never really wanted to speak out about issues. He never wanted to talk about civil rights, particularly until he married his wife of 47 years. Her name is, ironically, Billy Williams. Some baseball fans might remember there was a ball player named Billy Williams. But she really got him to the forefront. She said, speak up, use your platform. 1974, Hank Aaron spoke up in the middle of that home run chase, and he talked about racism. He talked about death threats. He talked openly. And, Jimmy, I mentioned this in the piece I wrote about him. Most people would want to forget the death threats and the hate letters. He saved 2,000 letters, all of which were hateful, even though he admitted that most of the people who corresponded with him or wrote letters to him or phone calls, whatever, were supportive and fans and loving and respectful. He saved those 2,000 letters because, as he put it, I never want to forget. And, he was a very, very graceful, elegant, but humble man. And I didn't forget him. I mean, I had so many great experiences. It shaped my life being an interviewer. I don't think I'm a particularly sophisticated person, but I think it definitely introduced me to people like David Halberstam, a great Pulitzer Prize writer, and George Will, and some of these other writers and broadcasters, and hearing their stories, even through osmosis. I got better and more worldly just through that experience. That's the thing that I'll always be grateful for. How it raised my intellect, it raised my consciousness, it raised my awareness of the world at large just by interviewing. And I think that that's the greatest gift that you get from interview. You learn about people.
How do you figure out what zone not to go into? Where it could be a little touchy, maybe some anger, and the next thing you know, you may lose control.
Well, I had a couple of those. I had my interview with Bobby Knight. Some people might remember it was a controversial interview. I had my interview with, I remember Barry Switzer, the coach at Oklahoma, said, did anyone ever punch you in the mouth? in the middle of an interview. It was a little unsettling. I have people Ted Turner walked off my show once because he didn't like the line of questioning. I was never, and I'm proud of it. You know, people may have called it soft, or I don't know whatever they might have called it, but I'm proud of the fact that I was never in your face confrontational. I couldn't do what Jim Rome does. Jim Rome does what he does. He wants to get a take and not suck, and that's his calling card. It's just not who I am. And that's another thing. You got to be yourself. I'm not by nature a confrontational person. I'm not a guy who looks hostilely at anybody. I ask tough questions. I have. I was looking at some of my interviews today because we're putting together a pilot for something I'm doing. I asked him, Jose Canseco, if you knew that kids were using steroids because they were inspired by you, do you have any shame in that? A fairly pointed question. Pete Rose, I said to him, I don't think you're sorry that you hurt baseball or that you gambled. I think you're sorry you got caught. And those were 2 points I made, just 2 examples of pointed questions without alienating your guests to a point where they want to walk off. And I did have that too.
Did you, when you're at that moment with somebody like Pete Rose, do you have to brace yourself for you might get punched, right? I mean, just prepare.
Not from Pete Rose. Pete. One thing is strange about Pete. He does take on any question you want. He doesn't get angry. He just, because he's in a strange perch, this cat. He is always convinced that whatever he does in his life is the right thing. And no one's going to tell him any differently. So I was never afraid of somebody like Pete Rose. I was, however, a little more afraid of, somebody like Bob Knight, who could blow up and did at me than most guests. But for the most part, I tried to conduct and navigate an interview with respect, even if I differed with that person, and tried I didn't wear a badge. Oh, I really got him today. I won that interview. I wasn't that kind of guy. I'm not that kind of a human being. I like people to reveal something because they want to, and because they want to share something of themselves. And I like to think at my best, that's when those interviews really sang, when they really flowed, was when people felt like sharing. When Bill Walton came on the show talking about his father, it was very emotional. I know people always say, oh, Roy gets them to cry. But I don't think it was so much a case of me getting them to cry as them wanting to cry, as them wanting to reveal something. Something was bubbling underneath their skin, and they wanted to get it out. And I happened to find a way to have them talk about it. Dennis Rodman famously cried on my show. Cameron Crowe, the director of Jerry Maguire, saw it. He wanted for Jerry Maguire, the movie, he wanted Dennis Rodman to play Rod Tidwell. People don't know that because they saw my show. But thank God I get Cuba Gooding Jr., who won the Academy Award, and I was in a scene with him. But I got emotion for some reason. And then the other thing, of course, I say, everyone says, oh, all Roy Firestone ever did was make him cry. Well, a lot of it had to do with Jerry Maguire, where that cliche was furthered. But I did have 5,000 interviews. I think we counted 20 people cried in 5,000. That's a very small percentage. But, and this is important, it shows you what people remember. And the irony here is, especially in this day and age with viral media, people would much rather see somebody weep on a show than just say something, factual or non-emotional. They want the emotion. And that's something that I've always believed was always at the center. They want somebody to reveal something of their soul. And not every show I could do that. I don't pretend that I could. But when the best of my shows were when somebody showed you something about them you never knew before.
How do you approach an athlete versus an actor or a film director? Is a Kobe Bryant interview the same as an Elton John interview for you?
Well, in the case of entertainment people, you're doing a sports show. So you have to sort of, I had Jerry Lewis on, I had Tom Hanks on, I had Elton John on, but talking about sports. So I really had to stay within the confines of sports because it was a sports show. I just couldn't sit and talk about, The Bellboy with Jerry Lewis in the middle of a sports show. With Elton John, I couldn't talk about Funeral for a Friend or Your Song or any of his hit records. I wanted to know why he loved sports so much. And out of nowhere, he wanted me to be interviewed by me to talk about the Braves because he was a huge baseball fan. And at one point, he told me, he said, you know, when the Braves are in the playoffs and I'm doing a show and a concert and I have the game in my ear when I'm doing I said, what? You have the game in your ear on an earpiece? He goes, oh, yes, I can listen to my show and the ball game. And if they win, if the Braves win, this was back when they were in the playoffs, but back when they were really good. He says, when they win, I'm so happy for my Braves, I give another 2 or 3 songs. He says, but when they lose, I get so pissed off, I cut the shows shorter, and so I can go to the dressing room and be pissed off. I mean, he was a real baseball fan. Springsteen, too. Tom Hanks was an usher at the Oakland A's games, talked a lot about the A's and sports and baseball. And, of course, he was in league of their own. That's why he was on my show. So the questions are different for entertainers, but in my case, I was pretty much strictly about sports. I had to stay within the confines of sports as a conversation.
You said something this week that stopped me in my tracks, and I want you to comment further on it. You said, oh man, I'm just going to throw you straight under the bus, Roy. You said, you know, as a show host, you interview these guests and these entertainers, these athletes, but you need to know that they are not your friend. And of course, yeah, I'm paraphrasing here.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It was one of the hardest realizations I came to as a young man. You know, I started in this business at 21 years old, and I had the illusion, because these people would come on our show, that, you know, they liked me, considered me a friend, and I made some friends. Some very famous friends, but not I look at the word friend as a very sacred word, what a true friend is, not an acquaintance. These people were more acquaintances. But when you don't have the show anymore, Jimmy, and I haven't had the show for quite a while, they forget you. And I wasn't hurt by it, but it was surprising to me, because where they used to go out to dinner with them, be on a first name basis with them. I'm not going to give you any names, but then you see them and you haven't seen them for 5 years. They don't know your name. In fact, the friendship they had was the friendship with the show. They came on the show to plug them, plug their movie, plug their, book, whatever it was. They loved you because you had a show. The biggest mistake people make in broadcasting is think that because you have a show, and you're not even aware of the fact that the show is really what drives everything. But if you were just a guy walking down the street with these people, they probably wouldn't give you the time of day. But because you had a show, you were currency to them, and you meant something to them. Again, I had some friends, and I still do. In sports, some very big names. I consider Bill Walton a very good friend. I think Howie Long is a good friend. Terry Bradshaw. All these are great people. Nice people would do something for me, and I would do something for them. But the biggest mistake you can make is thinking that these people, most people who come on your show, really, really think that you're their friend. And I had an expression, all who smile are not your friend in life. And it was hard as a kid, a young man too, to grasp that. I always assumed that these people would be my friends forever. And I realized that the only thing they were in love with was themselves and being on the show to plug their product.
When you come to that kind of realization, is it just part of growing up? And
yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, of course it is. And, by the way, it doesn't even have to be connected to a broadcast. In relationships, sometimes people, more than sometimes, frequently, relationships are built on what can you give to me, either monetarily or something that makes you more special than some other guy down the street. I don't mean to be cynical about love, but in many cases, we hear the phrase gold diggers. There's gold diggers, male and female. Athletes are wary of that, and it works both ways. But, I think human nature is that most people are looking, what's the upside of me becoming friends or lover with this person? What's in it for me? And I think that's what happens. And I think, by the way, it's also, I think, a healthy thing to come to that realization that just because that you have a show, you're not that special. You're just not that special because someone's going to, Ray Charles, I interviewed him one time. I still remember this line. I said, what was the hardest realization you have come to in your life? What was the hardest lesson? He says, the hardest lesson in life was the realization that someone's there to take your place. And I thought that, wait a minute, you're Ray Charles, man. No one's going to ever. He says, I'll be dead and long gone. And some people buy my records and some people love listening on the radio, but they'll forget me because someone else is in the spotlight. And he says, and that was a hard thing for me to accept. Someone's there to take your place. And I feel that way in broadcasting too. It's a very humbling industry. There's a lot of jealousy. There's some backbiting. There's some wonderful, wonderful people that I've known and met and still I'm friends with. But, you got to watch your back. And you also have to realize in life that there's disappointment and people will disappoint you. I don't mean to be a cynic, but I do think it's true about life and that you only really have a core, in my opinion, at least for me, of a handful of friends, real friends, people who don't give a damn whether you have a show or not. They just want to be in your life. That's what friendship is about. And there's a difference between acquaintance and friendship.
I had some advice once from a very popular broadcaster, and I said, "Hey, what can you tell me? What is the one thing I need to know?" And he said, "Roy, never take a vacation." Right?
Yeah, I worked with a couple of people like that. I had a guy. I'm not going to give you a name, but I was co-hosting with this guy. It was a guy, that much I'll tell you. And he was going on vacation and he went to like South America and he came all the way back from South America so he could make the Sunday night wrap-up show that I was going to fill in for him just to make sure that I didn't replace him. So he cut off his vacation to South America just to do a silly highlight show on a Sunday night. And that's kind of true. But you also can't be paranoid, too. You can't be in a position in life where you're looking around. You got to watch your back, but you can't walk your whole life with your neck cranked behind you because that's no way to walk in your life. Yeah, I also happen to think that everybody in life, even the people that hurt you or set you down, all gave you something that you can use. You can learn about life. You can learn about the human condition just through your experiences. We are the sum of the parts of people who've come into our lives. And by the way, that's the other thing I want to say. I don't talk politics. I'm not going to talk politics here. But I think we have such a divide in this country because we have forgotten how to talk to people. We have forgotten how to communicate and to find some commonality but most of all, we've forgotten how short life is, man, and how we are not guaranteed anything. Kobe Bryant would love to be here today. He got on that helicopter thinking he was going to have a Sunday afternoon leisure time with his daughter playing in a basketball game. He was going to coach and he'd go home that night and he had dreams. Nothing is owed to you. And I think as a people, whatever side of the political spectrum you might be on, if you can't recognize that life is so short, we better be kind to each other. We better find a way to communicate with each other without rancor, because we are all disposable. And whatever treasure you have in somebody in your life, just know that someday that will be a buried treasure. That person will be gone. So you might as well say thank you, be grateful, be gracious, and try to find something in a conversation that can unite you with another human being. And I'll leave it one last thought. You know what I thought about the other day?
What's that?
I thought that dogs are a great communicator, because if you talk to somebody of political differences, sociological differences, but they love their dog and you love your dog, and you sit there talking about dogs, I'm telling you right now, people open up. It's like talking about their grandchildren. They want to show you a picture. And I believe that commonality is what we need in this world. I think people need to have something in common, something to relate to that gets past all of the differences and just makes it one-to-one. Hey, did I show you the picture of I have this great Labrador Retriever, which I do. Tell me about your dog, and maybe they don't like dogs. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's their grandchildren. And I think that that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to communicating with people for the best of reasons that speaks to our humanity and the fact that we are all on borrowed time, and that our due date is on the horizon, and we better wise up to that and be grateful and have gratitude for everybody in your life if you can. It's so important.
Now, when we come back, we're up against a break, but when we come back, I want to talk about Kobe and a boy named Roy, your new book, and we'll do that after the break. But there's something else I want the audience to know, that there is a divide, and social media is polluted with stuff. And you back up with what you're saying, Roy. You absolutely flooded the internet with your train set. And it's the opposite of what is going on in social media right now. And I looked forward to your Labrador and the train set each day. We need more of that.
We do. We really do. I think we've forgotten the child in us, to tell you the truth. I'm not Tony Roberts here or anything like that. I do think we need to find the child in each and our soul, the innocence again. And I have a major train set. I build it every year right around the holiday time. And my Labrador Retriever, who I just rescued about 5 months ago, named Kobe, which we'll talk about in the next break, loves to watch the trains with me at night. It's the most damned amazing thing in my life. I can't explain it except to say it's brought back a lot of the child in me. And I'm not a child anymore, not physically I'm not, but to find that wonder and innocence in yourself again. That's why I wrote the children's book, which we'll talk about after the break.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Roy Firestone. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. All the links for Roy's books are over on our website. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest, Roy Firestone. More with Roy in just a minute. I want you to know about Virtual Shield VPN. For anybody that's watching the video feed right now, you can see the intense studio that is here. 6 computers run this show every night. We've got another studio next door with additional computers. Everything runs Virtual Shield VPN. Go to the link right below. If you're watching the video in the video description box, click on it. Get Virtual Shield VPN for 50% off today. You can also go to virtualshield.com/fade to black and head over 50% off of Virtual Shield VPN today. Everybody needs a VPN. Privacy is everybody's concern. Our guest tonight is Roy Firestone. And Roy, out of all of your books, Kobe and a Boy Named Roy, children's book, comes out of seemingly nowhere. Mm-hmm. And not only did it catch my attention, I'm a dad, right? Very cool. But what inspired you to do it?
Well, Kobe's passing had something to do with it. Kobe Bryant's passing had something to do with it. But there's something else going on here, too. We're, like everybody else, I was shocked and, absolutely devastated by most everybody else. Maybe people didn't like him, but I mean, everyone was shocked. And I think, crushed by the cruelty of how fast a life went, and also the other people in that helicopter. So I'm devastated. I'm here in Los Angeles. It happened 15 minutes from my house, the crash. Then COVID hit, and I happen to live alone. I have grown kids, and I decided, I'm saying, my God, I don't think this is going to be easy for me to deal with all this loss and the isolation. It was about 8 years since I had a dog. I had a yellow lab named Sammy, and by the way, he was named after Sammy Sosa, and also Sammy Davis. That's another story. Sammy Davis was a hero of mine. So I decided that I wanted to rescue a dog, and I did, and I named him Kobe. And he's a black lab, and he is the love of my life. And Ricky Gervais hits it right on the nose when he said, my Labrador Retriever thinks that any idea I have is the best idea he's ever heard. There's something about a lab, guys. If you're listening to this show and you haven't, not that all dogs aren't great, because they are, But Labrador Retrievers are a special breed, man, of loyalty and sweetness, and they're always up for anything. I did a piece, excuse me, about a week ago saying that this dog's taught me about life, and here's how. I walk with him for 9 miles a day, and he can't wait for the next walk. He's never complaining about walks. He's never complaining about eating the same damn food every single day of his life. He's not complaining about having to drink out of a toilet if he has to. And I thought that's something. To not complain about something is pretty cool. But also, there's other dogs. He doesn't seem to want to fight other dogs. There's a cat across the street, literally a calico, that he wanted to be friends with. And the cat doesn't like him, but he didn't know that he's supposed to hate a cat because he's a dog. And I thought, hey, what a great lesson about life, to not hate the cat across the street, which is sort of a metaphor for life. So all of this was happening to me. And I said, I'm going to write a children's book, my only children's book. I have 3 other books. My other book is, that's what I'm talking about. It's my most recent book. I had 2 others before that. And you know what, Jimmy? This thing has taken off, this children's book. It's illustrated. My sister is an illustrator. It's very Winnie the Pooh-ish in the sense that it's about innocence and wonder. I think we need that. And dogs just are the greatest. And I don't quite get, unless somebody's been bitten, why people don't like dogs. I feel sorry for them in a way. This dog is the love of my life, and he's wise and sweet and generous and keeps it simple, and he's never petty. He doesn't stab anyone in the back like human beings can do. He's just himself. And I learned a lot. And I'm telling you, that hole that was in my heart after losing Kobe Bryant, and then experiencing, as all of us have, this horrible time we're in with COVID, that you're not really alone in this world, that there's somebody out there. In this case, it's not a somebody, it's a 4-legged mammal named Kobe that can fill in a lot of the voids. And it's the best relationship I've ever had. But one other thing I was going to tell you is he was 25 pounds overweight. He was a fat dog, and he was abandoned twice. He's lost 23 pounds, and he feels whole now. And I feel like I have a pal that is in my life that I relate to in my own simple way. And he keeps everything simple. You know, just enjoy your meals, enjoy your food, don't complain, have a nice walk, and just stay out of the garbage. That's my only criticism, to stay out of the garbage, which he has a problem doing.
Tough book to write.
Yeah.
As opposed to, that's what I'm talking about, or this is emotions, right?
It's a book really for between the ages of 2 and 6 and 7, maybe. It's a little child's book. It's not an adult's book. But the thing that's shocking is how many people hearing my story said, my dog saved my life too when I adopted this dog. And another woman said, my husband died of cancer last year. I adopted this dog. It's a miracle. I just think that, so much has been written and said about dogs. The only thing that's horrible about having a dog is having to say goodbye. That is something that is just hard to explain to people who don't really get it. When you have to say goodbye to an animal, oh my God, it's unlike any kind of human loss you've had in your life. I say this without hesitation. Losing my first lab was as painful as any loss I had in life. It was that painful because there was an innocence to it. It was, unconditional love. And when you have to put that animal down, or you lose an animal to a disease, you swear to God you'll never do it again. And I didn't do it for 8 years. And then when I lost Kobe Bryant, I say we all lost Kobe Bryant. And then when COVID hit, I said, I'm taking a chance. Folks, if you're listening to this show and you're thinking about getting a dog, get a dog. Get the dog. Worry about everything else later, because you'll never be sorry. Never.
Now, you got Kobe from a Labrador rescue, and that's where the proceeds of this book is going too, right?
Yeah, And by the way, if people are listening to the show and want me to sign the book, I'm happy to do it. You could go to Amazon. I can't sign it on Amazon. It's Kobe and a Boy Named Roy is the name of the book. But if you go to royfirestone.com, you get the book. I'll circle back to you and I'll get you a personal inscription of the book. Again, it's for little kids. It's not really for adults. It's not really a story of me either. It's a story of a little boy who was lonely. He lost his friend and he got a dog. And it's his adventure in that dog. But go to my website, royfirestone.com, if you'd like the book to buy it, and I will sign it personally for you. And if you just want to get it on Amazon without getting signed, we're on Amazon as well.
Yeah, the
but
links.
I've never had a reaction I've written 4 books now. I've never had a reaction like I have for this book.
Yeah, I know, and that says a lot. And I want everybody. It's very simple. The links for everything are over on our website, jimmychurchradio.com. Roy, you brought up COVID. And this is one of my concerns, if not globally, of course, is what is going to happen with entertainment, not only sports and crowds in the future. Are we ever going to get back to where we were?
It's going to take a while, Jimmy. It's going to take a while. I mean, I got a vaccine today. I'm thrilled that I got a vaccine. I mean, I waited 2.5 hours in car today, and the lady says to me, I know you're upset. I said, upset? I'm not upset. I'm thrilled. I'm so grateful that I got this vaccine. I'm one of the first to get a vaccine, get another one coming in 3 weeks. I'm lucky that I was able to get a vaccine. I said, I'm so full of gratitude. I now feel protected somewhat. My second vaccine will really make me more protected. But getting back to your point, do you really see 100,000 people in Ann Arbor go to a Michigan-Ohio State game in October next year? I don't.
No.
I don't see how people. And then you don't know who the other person is across from you, if they've had a vaccine or didn't. Then what are they going to do? Are they going to have to have a certificate that you've had a vaccine to get into the games? Is that going to happen? And what about concerts? I mean, if you're Kenny Loggins or if you're Jay-Z or whoever it is, and you're used to 18,000 people coming to your show, and now maybe 60 people are not afraid to come to your show, I mean, it's going to change the entertainment. I think we're going to see more virtual entertainment. I think you're going to see subscriptions to concerts on Zoom or whatever you call that, or Skype or some kind of virtual medium. But I think it's going to be a long time before we're back to what we think is normal. And it may never be normal again. I think you're going to see baseball teams drop their free agent, shopping. I think you're not going to see baseball teams invest 5, 10 years in a ball player, because we don't know where this thing is going. We're flying blind here. Am I optimistic? Sure, I'm optimistic because I'm an optimistic person, but I don't see the entertainment and the sports business being back to normal for a while, maybe years, maybe more than 1 year. People say, oh, well, if everyone's vaccinated by, say, July, August, September, we can go back. I don't know about that. I think that people are going to be thinking twice about going to sporting events and concerts, and to say nothing of the fact that the prices are high, too. Why would I want to roll the dice to go to that show? I'll stay home and read a book or watch TV. I think you're going to see a real hesitation on the part of the buying public, the spectator public, to go into sporting events, concerts, Broadway. My goodness, I don't know. We are in uncharted territory. We don't know where we're going, but it's not going to be the way it was for a long, long time.
When I would go into the studios over at Premiere, as you know, Fox Sports right there in Sherman Oaks, and our studios are on the 5th floor of that building, right? And walking through there's no employees. That's it. It's a ghost town. And every door has got a biohazard warning on it. Every studio, clean your microphones, bring this, do this, everything. And I felt, Roy, like I was in a crazy movie, but it was for real. Does it feel the same for you?
Yes, but here's an interesting thing. I'm going to take a different tact on this, though. I think we have a chance to change the way we connect with people with these Zoom things and these Skype things and these video conferencing. I've had people in my life who I haven't seen in years, maybe decades, and I have a weekly Zoom with them. I have about 4 or 5 Zooms. I say Zoom, I'm using a generic term. It's Skype, Zoom, whatever you know, FaceTime, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I think there's a chance there could be a positive in the respect of talking to people again, to see their face again. My son and his wife just gave birth to my first grandchild. I got to see, I'm watching this child every day. Now, I couldn't have done that in 1985, you know, and he lives in San Francisco. I live in Los Angeles. So I'm getting a chance to see my grandchild almost every night. And I get to see what it's like to feed him with my son. And he's, you know, as he's panicked, he says he won't stop crying. I said, just keep talking. We're sitting there on the phone, video phone. So there is I don't know if silver lining is the right phrase, but there is a plus. We might have a chance to communicate better again as people, which I think would be a really good thing. But I do think things are going to be dramatically changed. And I tell you that the other area that you didn't mention are people who are landlords. I don't mean just landlords for apartments or, you know, condominiums. I'm talking about buildings. If people aren't going into buildings anymore, there's not going to be a big demand to buy a building or construct a building. That's the people who should really be worried.
I think about Ventura Boulevard. Right. I think about these the sacrifices and the things that are going on. And eventually we're going to get back to something that seems normal. The damage that has been done, I have no idea.
I don't know how we're going to dig ourselves out of this. I do know, though, that we're going to find some kind of way. But, you know, for every door that closes, another one opens in some other capacity. And maybe there'll be a new world. Maybe we'll, you know, you're doing a show audio-wise on Skype, but there'll be a lot of television shows on Skype. You might see 1,000. You think there's a lot of people with podcasts. How about 1,000 TV hosts every night? You could watch almost anything you want in conversation. I mean, the pay ain't going to be great, but there'll be people with opportunities to communicate using their skills that couldn't get on the air if their life depended on it before this. So there's going to be changes. There's going to be permanent changes in some areas, but we have to adapt. Humanity has to adapt and find a way to survive or die. And I think we're going to. I think we're going to find a way.
The entertainment side of things and the music side of things, I come from that background, and I don't know about the focus of the future. We all need to adapt. And I think that you're bringing up a great point. And this is about you now. You have been given a singing voice from God. Now, and you laugh. I wish I had that voice. Trust me, I don't. But have you ever thought of not about turning back time, but where's your passion in that? Is it music? It was the interview. Was that an accident that got in the way of another career?
Well, you've turned over a rock that I never really talked that much about because it sounds self-indulgent and it sounds whatever you want to call it. But music is my life. Music is my passion. I do sing. I'm a professional performer. I've gone all over the country. I've done over 2,000 shows. It's not all music. It's vocal impressions. It's storytelling. It's a little Garrison Keillor in there. There's a little bit of, I don't know, Danny Gans. I don't know if people remember Danny Gans. There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of my experiences in sports. And I've done this show for literally thousands of clients. And that is my real passion. My passion is getting up in front of an audience and connecting with people musically, storytelling, comedy, voice work. If I could connect, and that's really why I became a broadcaster, I needed to find a way to connect. And I'm still connecting using social media, and I'm doing a lot of shows now, but I miss getting up there in front of people. I can understand what people who've made careers and lives out of, being singers and entertainers, they've got to be climbing the ceiling right now because we don't know what's going to happen on the other side. But you did touch on something. I really love music more than anything, including sports. I'd rather talk about music. I'd rather talk about artists. I'd rather interview those kind of people. I love talking about the lyrics of songs, the melodies of songs, and who are the greats. And I'd rather talk about Frank Sinatra than Frank Thomas. Let me put it to you that way. It's not that Frank Thomas isn't fun and interesting and great guest to have on the show, but I would rather just be on the journey with the greatest singer to me of the 20th century, or certainly one of them in Frank Sinatra, to talk about people who just, when they open their mouth and sing, like Billy Joel, Elton John, before that Elvis, and all these. Leslie Odom Jr. did this movie called A One Night in Miami, I think it was called. It's on Amazon right now, and it's about Muhammad Ali knocking out Sonny Liston and being around Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke, again, this is probably a younger audience, they probably never heard of Sam Cooke. But this guy did such a great job as Sam Cooke. I think he stole the movie. I love talking about music. I love listening to music. I love singing. I think singing puts me in a place that nothing else could put me, not even sports. And I like to think I could hold a tune. I have a CD out. It's also on my website, too. It's done very nicely. I don't pretend that I'm the best singer in the world, but I think I'm pretty okay. And I'm happiest when I'm singing, and I'm happiest when I'm around music. And that's the truth.
You're being very humble, man. You've got some serious pipes.
Thank you.
When did you find out that you could sing? Were you 5, 6?
You really wanted to know the truth. I never really sang in public on a stage. Always hid behind the impressions. I hid behind, look at me, I'm as helpless as, Johnny Mathis. I could sing like Johnny Mathis, but that way I wouldn't have to show my real voice, so I could make people laugh and applaud. But meanwhile, I was singing. Then I would do Neil Diamond, and I would do bits with the Bee Gees, and I'd do Gordon Lightfoot, and I'd sing like Smokey Robinson, all as impressions. But it was done for a reason, so I wouldn't have to show my real voice. But at the end of the show, I sing in my real voice, whatever you want to call real.
Right.
And it's such a visceral, indescribable feeling to sing if you're singing well and you're in good voice. I mean, I understand why people like Josh Groban and Michael Bublé and all these people, Beyonce, every one of these people, they would rather sing than just about anything else in their lives. I understand it comes back from the very most primal place in our souls to sing, to utter something musical, man. And I'm just lucky that I had the sports vehicle to get me out on a stage so that I could sing. So in a way, it was in reverse. I had to have the sports career first to give me some credibility to get on stage. And then from that point, it's all up to me.
Now, this is what's really funny. I'm just going to say this to the audience. You don't have, Roy, please, you don't have to do this. But listening to you speak and to hear me say you do Barry Gibb better than Barry Gibb, right? Nobody would buy into that. Did you see the new Bee Gees documentary that was just released?
Yes, I did, Jimmy. And not only that, how about this? Barry Gibb lived across the street from me in Miami. And my late mother used to say, honey, there are those 3 lovely Geeby boys. She called them the Geeby boys. I said, Mom, those are the Bee Gees. She goes, well, they're from England. I said, well, actually, they're Australian, but they're originally from England. She goes, well, I was walking the dog the other day, and I ran into the Geeby. And his name isn't Geeby, it's Barry Gibb. But I did see the documentary. It was very touching to me. I think that people really had a tendency to underrate the Bee Gees because they were dismissed as this disco band, which they never really were a disco band. They had one period in their careers where they used some quote unquote disco because of Saturday Night Fever, which ended up becoming one of the greatest selling records of all time. I think still is the greatest selling soundtrack of all time.
Yeah.
But people had a tendency to dismiss them. They were as big or bigger than just about any band in the history of rock and roll or pop music. And Barry deserves a lot of credit. I thought it was a very moving and inspiring documentary. I have tremendous respect for them. They're great, great songs. I'll tell you one other thing. Randy Newman, who was no slouch as a songwriter, one of the greats, he said the one thing he regrets is he didn't write a song like How Deep Is Your Love. He thought How Deep Is Your Love is one of the greatest, most underrated pop songs of all time, and he's sorry he didn't write it.
The documentary, I don't watch movies about dogs. I don't.
Me
right?
neither.
It's got a bad ending, right? There's always a bad. There's always and the Bee Gees documentary took me there. That was rough.
Yeah.
That was rough.
He said at the end, Barry Gibb, for those who didn't see it, it's on HBO. You'll probably get it somewhere. He said he'd give it all back, all of it, all the fame, all the money, all the everything to have his brothers alive. And, they're all gone. Andy Gibb was a young brother. He died. Maurice, Mo died. And who was the third? Robin Gibb. Sorry. Robin Gibb. Let me just tell you one other thing, a little anecdote. I did a story on How Deep Is Your Love, the song How Deep Is Your Love. They didn't want to record it. They did it as a demo. And then finally, Stigwood, who was their manager, said, "You're not giving this to anyone. You guys are going to do it." That Barry and Robin are singing in unison in that song, and it sounds like one voice. That's how good those voices were together. They were spectacular vocalists, and they had great arrangements. And that is one of the truly great songs, the second half, in my opinion, pop songs of the second half of the 20th century. Truly a great song. And the Bee Gees deserve nothing but great credit. I'm a huge fan of theirs. And I feel for Barry Gibb because I understand what he was saying. He's saying, life goes by and all the riches and all the fame and all the acclaim and all the trophies and the awards are great. But if you don't have your family, you don't have people you love around you, none of it matters.
Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, the one and only Roy Firestone. We're talking about the art of talk. We squeezed in some music, though. Got a little sports in. More with Roy after this short break. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Our guest tonight, Roy Firestone. You can follow Roy on Twitter at Roy Firestone. You can find him over on Facebook and hang out there. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter, too, as well, at JChurchRadio. Now, Roy, I want to take you out of your comfort zone for a minute, okay? And,
all right.
And I'm going to go back to Larry King for a second. Larry, he would do a few times a year on CNN, he would do a special on UFOs. Okay? And he'd bring on Shirley MacLaine and do all of this stuff. Well, as that was my passion too as well. It's sports and music and things. And I'm in school for broadcasting, and I thought if Larry can do it, I can do it. I can combine everything on the show. I just want to be me. And I'm in school for broadcasting here in L.A., and one of our teachers was from CNN. I'm not going to say who it was. But I said to him, I said, hey, if you had a story on a UFO, would you take it to your news director? What would happen? He goes, no, I would never do it. That's the kiss of death in broadcasting, right? And I thought, well, Larry King does it, on CNN. And I thought about that so much. Then my career took me where I needed it to go, and everything was fine with it. But now Fox, CNN, and all of the major media networks around the world over the last couple of years talk about UFOs every single day. What do you think is going on there? Why suddenly, the search for ETs and alien intelligence and all of this stuff has got a pass, a hall pass?
I used to think that interplanetary visits were, commandeered. The people navigating those interplanetary visits to this planet were coming here because they were looking for intelligent life. I think that that's probably not why they're looking anymore if they're coming here. God knows we don't have a whole lot of intelligent life on this planet. I don't know the answer, Jimmy. I mean, I think people are fascinated with things that are unexplainable. I am not an occult person. I am not a sci-fi person per se. I have things in my life that have happened that were unexplainable. But I can say this, that people are endlessly fascinated with the unexplainable. And your opinion is as valid as somebody else's opinion about it. And I think there's always room for the idea that something else is better out somewhere, or different at least. And that maybe someday, somehow we're going to connect. I mean, my all-time favorite movie is E.T., my favorite movie. I think Close Encounters of the Third, it's so amazing that, that Spielberg, Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. are two of my favorite movies. And it was about a man's need to somehow connect. In the earlier movie, of course, E.T. was a little boy's need to connect. I actually think I could relate to the ET when I'm talking about my lab, my dog. I understood that what they were trying to say in that movie. Everybody needs a little someone in the dark, so to speak, to come and reach out to you. Not to get too corny, but that's sort of how I feel. But I do think the inexplicable and the unexplainable are two things that fascinate people. There's an endless audience for it, and that's what I think television is always interested in, and broadcasting in general. They're interested in audiences all coming together because they want to connect some kind of way with something they can't explain.
Do you think after COVID and the year that the entire world, 7.5 billion people got affected by it, affected, not infected, affected by it, that the shock of something crazy now is easier to take?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think that's a good point. I think anything goes, man. I think you could see anything happen. We're seeing it already. We're seeing stuff we've never seen happen before, not just in this country, but all over the world. People are looking for solutions. They're looking for some kind of respite, some kind of survival, something that will help them cope better. But I also think that anything could happen. I think both bad and good. I think we've seen a lot of frightening things happen in recent weeks in this country, but it's been going on all over this planet for hundreds and hundreds of years. The sad thing to me about COVID is there's so many sad things, but one of the saddest things is I used to always say, well, it's going to take a tragedy to bring us together. Well, this is a tragedy, and we're more split apart than we've ever been. That's the hardest thing for me to accept. The fact that in the hardest times, this country of ours, we came together in the toughest times, and so did the planet. We all pitched in. Now it's every man for himself, or it seems like it. And as I said before, we're so divided, we're so polarized that instead of us all coming together for the greater good and trying to help our neighbor out and trying to be there, and there's some wonderful, wonderful stories. I don't mean to paint a picture of just negativity and disdain for the human race, but there's a lot of disappointment too in what we've become and where we're going. And again, I don't know if it's not COVID, it's going to be what if a meteor hit this planet? Would we come together then, or would we find a reason to hate each other again? I don't know. I'm not smart enough to come up with a solution or an answer, but I really had hoped that in the toughest of times, in the most challenging of times, as a people, first America and then all over the planet, we would find a way to get closer to each other and to love each other better. And the opposite seems to be happening. And it's perplexing to me.
Yeah, I can tell you this, that after the pandemic, Roy, if a flying saucer landed on the 405 during rush hour, it's going to be no big deal.
That's possibly true.
Yeah, they will come together to move it off of the freeway, right?
Yeah. I think I've seen crazier things than that in LA anyway, but
well, but you bring up a really good point. Isn't this an opportunity for all of us to know now that we can only help each other? That's the only way forward. If there is a bright spot, like you said, maybe it's just that we know now the only way forward is togetherness, not hating your neighbor.
It's so true, and it seems so simple, Jimmy, but it's so elusive, and it's so we evade each other. And of course, with the virus now, we're paranoid of each other. We're paranoid that somebody walking down the street with a mask, without a mask, believes he's entitled to not wear a mask, believes she or he has to wear whatever it is. We've driven a pile in half because we're divided over even the most simple things, caring about each other, but as I said today, I got my vaccine today. I was lucky. I'm one of the very, very lucky Americans that got an early vaccine. And as I said to you before, the woman said, I know it's a long wait. I'm sorry if you're upset. And I went, I'm the luckiest guy in the world, man. I'm alive, and I appreciate what you do. I appreciate everybody working here. Thank you for, it's cliche to say thank you for your service, but it's true. I think about all the first responders and the medical people and the people who run food banks and, the scientists and the medical people looking for new ideas, new cures, maybe even eradicate pandemics in general going forward. So I try to keep positive, but I'll tell you, if we don't come together and find a way, there's that great scene in on Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino, and he says, gentlemen, I don't know if you remember the movie. But he goes, if we don't come together as a team, we are going to die as individuals. And I think it's a great metaphor for where we are in our lives. We have to find, and it's the oldest, corniest cliche about sports, it's a team game, but guess what? So is life. And if we don't come together as a team, we will die as individuals.
Now, as a member of the media, and this is a great way to close out this last segment. And before we get there, Roy, thank you so much. It's been a great conversation tonight. But as a member of the media, a central figure of the media for so long, do you feel that the media bears some responsibility in the divisiveness where we are today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The one thing, though, that is really scaring me is, in many cases, the truth doesn't matter. Facts don't matter. If truth doesn't matter and facts don't matter, everything will fall apart. If we can't agree on what is true, and I'm not going to get into politics. That's not what I do. I'm not on broadcast. If we can't agree that something is true, then we're in big trouble. We're certainly big trouble to democracy, for sure. But also, if we can't agree that we are all on, temporary tenants on this planet, man, we all have a use by date. If we don't agree that we're all are going out and in the ground, and we need to be kind and find a way to love each other, or at least be willing to respect each other, and not. And yes, the media does drive a wedge. There's no question about it. But we also, as a people, have to learn to accept what truth is, what facts are. And I heard a great quote. I think it was Cornel West said, "If without truth, there's no love, because love is the ultimate truth. And if you don't have truth in your life, or if you don't believe the truth, you'll never be able to really love." I thought that was a strong thing. I don't know if you agree with it, but I happen to think it was a powerful thing to say, because another note about love, I think it's the single greatest sacrifice and the single greatest gamble, I guess, if you want to call it that, in life, is to love somebody. Because if you're only looking for everything to go great, and you're only looking for love to answer and fill in all the voids that you have in your life, you're probably not going to be very successful. Love is flawed, but to love somebody, man, is a courageous thing to do. It's a courageous thing to do. So in the final moments of this show, I would like to implore, without getting too preachy, but I would like to implore people to find a way to love better, because if we don't, we're going to just die as individuals. We really will.
Is it possible? Is it possible for the media to put the car in reverse for just a little bit?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, left, right, whatever your politics are in life, we have to find a way to speak in our commonalities, our mortality, the fact that we worry about our kids, we worry about our families, we worry about their schools, we worry about our livelihood. But if we can't relate to each other just on a basic primal level as human beings, and forget about our politics and forget about our ideological differences, we're going to fail. We're going to fail. And we've seen it before. We've seen, just because we have a democracy for short of 250 years doesn't guarantee that our democracy is going to survive. We've had democracies that have lasted 500 years and then crumbled. Nothing is a given. That's the most important thing I want to leave you with, that in life, nothing is owed to us. Not democracy, not our freedom, not love, not that someone you love will always be there. Nothing is owed to us. And we've got to find a way, some way, even if it's a baby step, every day, say hello to your neighbors, say hello to somebody in the park, wave to somebody, smile to somebody you get your mask on, or if you're wearing a mask, which I hope you are, but we've got to find a way to get back to who we the best of who we are, and which is kindness, compassion, a sense of individual integrity, honoring each other. Because if we don't, man, we're destined to fail, and it's going to be a crashing, burning heap that will fail. And I've seen it. It's already been happening in this country, and it's sad to watch. We just need to find a way to get back with each other.
Is the possibility of getting this done, is it through independent voices now that are away from opinion news of the mass media, where, like a show like this, Roy, our audience is ginormous, but I don't have a network behind me. And there are days, we broadcast 4 days a week, where my numbers are as big as CNN's. And I'm not the only one. Look at Joe Rogan or some of these other that are independent of the mainstream media. Is that where people may choose to go to in the future and avoid the mass media and go to independent voices?
I hope that people don't only... And I think sometimes I'm a victim of it myself. I'm, self-inflicted. Only go to the voices that you are comfortable with, that confirm your views of things. That people listen to other voices, even if we don't agree with those voices. But I don't know how that's going to happen, because we are really divided up. We're in teams now. If you're not on my team, you're on the other team. There's too much they and them, and not enough us and we. There just isn't. And this is the United States of America. We are supposed to be united, and we are not a United States, and we are going to fail. It will doom this country if we don't find a way to become more united. I think the politics have become divisive. I think media is divisive, but we are still one-to-one human beings, mortal human beings, and that we're all going to the same place, man. We're all going to the ground. And it shouldn't take something like losing a Kobe Bryant on a day, this is his anniversary of his passing, and the children and those families, and there's a hole in those families' hearts that'll never be filled. It shouldn't take that for us to be kind to each other, to love each other better. Not perfectly, but better. And if we can't do that, we have failed, and our society has failed, and we're doomed. We're just doomed. We can't do this alone. We cannot do it alone.
Why do you think we came unraveled so quickly? It just seemed like it was overnight.
Well, I think if you look in the mirror, we've had things in this country for many, many hundreds of years. I think hate and greed and division has been part of the American fabric, sad to say, for 250 years. We're still paying for that. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave you with a story. Do I have 3 minutes left?
We've got 8.
Okay, let me tell you this story, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay?
Absolutely.
It happens to be about Muhammad Ali. And when I was in Miami growing up and starting out in the business, Muhammad Ali was training down there. And my very first TV interview in my life was Muhammad Ali. So I'm going to do this interview. I'm 21 years old to interview the great champ Muhammad Ali. Whether you liked him or not, he was number one, numero uno. Nobody greater than him. And he will be the first to tell you. So I go do an interview with him, and then we decided we're going to follow him for a week and do a story about the day in the life of the champ. So one night we go to this nursing home in South Beach, Florida. People in their 90s and above, even older, some in the hundreds. And Muhammad Ali had just beaten Joe Frazier to win the championship. And he walks in the room, and he has about 6 members of his entourage with him. And he goes, "I'm so fast. I'm the greatest of all time. Nobody's going to whoop me. I'm fast. I'm great. I'm pretty. What is my name?" Right? And some of these elderly people are going, "Aren't you Clay?" That was not a great thing to happen right there. So everybody's kind of like, doesn't know who this guy is. These people are so old. They lost it, So then he goes into another room, and there's no one in this room except an old black man in a wheelchair. I'll never forget it. I was there with my film camera crew when we were filming this. And he sees this old man. He goes, "Hey, old man, what is my name?" And the old man doesn't say anything. And this man was like 97 years old. He couldn't hear really well, didn't see very well. So Ali says, "Come on, old man. Who am I? Tell everybody, who am I?" No reaction. So Ali starts to walk away. He figures, this guy can't really put it together. Maybe he's lost it completely. So I'm watching at the corner of my eye this old man, and like a light bulb went off on his head, clicked, and suddenly his eyes got wide, and he turned his wheelchair around, and he started to speak to Ali, first haltingly, but then with more conviction. He says, "I know who you are, man. You know who I am. Who am I?" And the old man looked up and he said, "You're the champ, man. Can't nobody whoop the champ. Can't nobody say nothing better than the champ. I waited my whole life to meet the champ. I'm 97 years old and everybody in my life is dead. But I finally got to meet the champ because my dream came true. And you are the greatest of all time." Now, everybody in the room is crying. I mean, people are emotional, right? Ali is even emotional. He walks up to the old man. He goes, "You're right. I am the champ. Now tell everybody right now, mister, what is my name?" And the old man looked up and he went, "Joe Louis." Here, Jimmy, is where I'm going to get to the end and why this ties together. Everybody in Ali's entourage ran to the old man. "Hey, old man, don't you know that ain't no Joe?" And Ali stopped them. He stopped them. He said, "What are you doing?" "But he said your name was—" "I know he said my name was, but you don't understand something. This man deserves to have some dignity. This man deserves to have some kind of love in his life. He's all by himself. Maybe in his whole life, the only champ he ever wanted to meet was Joe Louis. Well, guess what? His dream came true. And do you know why?" And he said it. And he said it. He goes, "Because tonight, my name is Joe Louis." Now, why was this important? I mean, it was just a forgotten old man in a wheelchair. No, Ali was showing us something far more important than giving an autograph or patting somebody in the back. He was giving an old man who wouldn't have mattered to almost anybody else some dignity and some love for just a few moments. And what he was saying is, we need to uplift everybody we meet in our lives. Find a way. George Washington Carver said, "How far you go in your life depends upon your ability to be tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, tolerant of the weak and strong, and those who strive, because someday in your life, you will have been all of those things yourself." And so what Muhammad Ali was teaching us is what I want to close with tonight. We need to find a way to uplift each other again. We need to do it. Do it in your school. Do it in your place of worship. Do it in your community. Do it any way you can, but uplift somebody. That's the solution. That's the answer. Uplift each other.
Roy Firestone. And here, 21 years old, and here you are in 2021 sharing that again. And that's how important it was to you then and how important it is today. Thank you for that, man. strong.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show. And again, if I can just do a cheap plug, if you'd like to get any of my books or my children's book, Kobe and a Boy Named Roy, or before that, my most recent book is called That's What I'm Talking About, just go to royfirestone.com, purchase the book, or if you want to go to Amazon, you can do that too. But in the case of Kobe and a Boy Named Roy, we are donating our proceeds to benefit animal shelters, especially a lab rescue service here in Los Angeles. And I was just honored to be on your show, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. I'm 57 years old, and I'm not too young to learn. Thank you for the lesson.
Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. I could say to everybody tonight, I went to church.
All the best, Roy. Enjoy your evening. Go say hi to Kobe for us.
Hey, take care. Good night.
What a great conversation, Roy Firestone. Now, all the links for Roy are over at jimmychurchradio.com, royfirestone.com, and, of course, all the Amazon links are right there. What a conversation. Amazing. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to come back to your phone call, 747-228-2051. Thank you, Roy. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want to thank Roy Firestone. What a great conversation. Amazing conversation. Amazing. Thank you so much, Roy. And all of Roy's links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Kobe and a Boy Named Roy. You've got to go and check that out. And you can look at some of the illustrations that are done there. It's a children's book, but wow. It's just a great book. What a great conversation. All of Roy's books are over at jimmychurchradio.com, and you can head over to Amazon. Follow Roy, by the way, right there on Twitter at Roy Firestone. And, of course, you can check him out and follow him on Facebook. His stuff every day. I've been, and I said this early on in the show, that I've been following Roy now for 13 years. And his daily take on life is just so inspiring. It's so inspiring, and especially over the last couple of years, and of course through the pandemic too as well. But I encourage everybody to go and do that. Head over and follow Roy on Facebook. It is so worth it. And what a great conversation. What a great conversation. That's it. I'm on cloud 9. I've got lots of calls on hold. I will get to everybody. If we have time, we'll squeeze in a few more. 747-228-2051. And with that, let's go to the phones. Let's see who's up first. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hello, Jimmy. Joe Rich from Staten Island. How are you?
I'm doing good, Joe. How are you tonight?
I tell you, I'm troubled, my friend.
What's up?
I want to believe you so much when you talk about, getting together and love and Kobe and all your guests are beautiful people. Do you know what it is like in my neighborhood? Do you know I'm followed? I've been chased and hunted down like an animal. Did you know that?
Well, I've been watching some of the things in New York City, and I'm blown away. I don't know what is going on. I don't.
Can't tell you, but you know what? I'll tell you a funny thing, right? You ever see that movie back in the 70s, 14 Fight, when the kids put LSD in the water supply and took over the government? Remember that 14 Fight? And then at the end, Fight. Okay, here's the thing. Look up the movie. It's a great cult movie from like the early 70s. I remember seeing it as a kid. The point I'm saying is, I want to love people, and I'm a positive person. That obviously I wouldn't be listened to if I wasn't. But I think the more good you try and do in certain areas, the more the bad folk don't want that. They want the bad. Do you understand?
I hear you, but this is where I want you to listen to me for a second. I remember 1989, my first trip to New York City. Okay? 1989. Scared the crap out of me. 1989, New York City was not a fun place to be. Okay, it just was not. It was intimidating, and listen, Joe. I was in Times Square. I'm with a group of friends. It's about midnight, and I'm walking, and these two cops come up to us. There's four of us, and two cops come up and they go, "What are you guys doing here?" "Oh man, we're in New York for the first time, man. New York City, man. This is great. Times Square." And the cop says, "I want you to turn around and look." And we do. And he goes, "You see those four guys back there? They're about to mug you. So you need to get in a cab and go back to your hotel. Get off of the streets." Now, and we turned around and we saw what was going on. The four people in back of us saw the cops talking to us, and they didn't even care. And it was this predatory thing that was going on, and we freaked out, and we jumped in a cab, and we got off of. Now, that was then. New York was able to turn itself around. And my future trips back to New York, of which there have been dozens, have been great, fun, and enjoyable. If it's going through some kind of phase right now, it's just a phase. It was turned around once before. It'll turn around again. It's not going to be like this forever. It's just not. It's too great of a city.
Knock on wood, Jimmy. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I know. I'm knocking on wood knocking on wood right now, bro. All right.
I enjoyed you guys, but I like the idea of working hard, and I'm trying to do a little something media-wise too with my podcast and everything. So I'm trying to break in a little bit and spread a little love myself. So.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, Joe. That's what I'm talking about.
Agent Firegirl 999 to people on Spotify and stuff. And everybody's interested.
Thank you so much, Joe. Behave and be well, and we'll see you right here tomorrow night.
Well, you got it, bro. You have a good night.
You too, Joe. Thank you.
I liked you guys. I never heard of them, believe it or not, but I liked them.
There you go. You're the only one on the planet, and you learned something. There you go, Joe. Enjoy your night, man. We'll see you tomorrow.
And I'm here with my little 5-minute soup. I'm all good.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go. Well, Joe from Staten Island, everybody, kicking off the show tonight. And that's funny. First time he's ever heard Roy Firestone. He's got to be the only person on the planet, right? Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, Michael. I'll just start changing my name to Tenacious so that you know who I am.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, I really got to thank you for having Roy on tonight, because I look at the guests and I'm like, how does this fit in with your program? And I got to say, dude, you're either completely crazy or a genius. And I think it's the latter, because I got more out of listening to Roy and yourself converse. What a beautiful human being Roy Firestone is. He's a gift. He's like listening to someone that has died and come back to life. I mean, he just has that out-of-body kind of touch with what is necessary to be a successful, loving human being to each other. And after listening, I mean, it really has me, it really affected me. It really affected the way I want to act towards people tomorrow, and see how long I can continue to make that change. Not that I'm a bad person. I'm a really friendly guy, but we all have moments where we're not the best we could be. And I think that Roy really has helped me to have a different approach starting tomorrow when I get into work with people, and I work with the public a lot. And I can't thank you enough for having him on. And yes, I'm going to get a book through his website so that I can have that book to remember and to remind me. Even if I never read it, I probably will, and probably read it a couple times. But just to remind me of what a beautiful message that was just drilled in my head and heart tonight. And I just want to say thank you so much for having him, and really great move on your part.
Well, and thank you for that. And the thing about Roy is that he's passionate about this country. He's passionate about people. He's passionate about the world. And he's passionate about himself. Let me tell you something. If you ever get the chance, just go and watch. Because what we know about Roy is his interviews and sports and his impressions, and we didn't even get into any of that tonight. We didn't have the time, but that's what we know about Roy, and that's great. Go and watch Roy sing, and man, he doesn't give a crap. You know what I mean? He is singing singing. It's not the Roy, that does interviews. No, and that's why I brought this up with him tonight. It's so wonderful to see him sing, and it's absolutely incredible. He's got a voice from God. He really does. And
probably also, Jim, because he's so comfortable with himself from the inside. You know what I mean? When you're really comfortable with yourself, it just flows. There's no tension. There's just you connect to the inner you, and that's beauty with Roy. Roy is what a cool person.
Yeah. His feet are completely on the ground, and what was really cool. Before I let you go, when I asked him to come on the show, he literally said, "I'm going to paraphrase," but he literally said, "Okay, champ." Let's do this, it's like
which was Joe Louis or Muhammad.
Well, yeah, right. And it was without hesitation from him, and that was really cool. And I had said to Rita, I said, I want to get Roy Firestone on the show, and I think it's going to be great, and I've just wanted to do this for a while, and so anyway. I just reached out, and it was just an immediate yes, and that's who he is, and that was really cool. That was
I just want to say thank you for myself and everyone else that hasn't called or has the ability to get in to talk to him. I'm sure a lot of people out there are still processing what they heard, and for me, it was just what the doctor ordered.
Well, I thank you for that, Michael. And this is the other thing. We've always seen one side of Roy over the years through Up Close, and it's not just Up Close and ESPN, but it's HD Net, and he's on here in Los Angeles too as well. But we only see that side of Roy, and tonight. Like I said, it's me interviewing the interviewer, and so we get to see the other side. And
it was
that
kind of like Roy unplugged.
It was Roy, and what you got tonight, that is Roy Firestone. And
that's beautiful, man.
It was effortless, man. It was just so much fun. Thank you.
I never knew that side of him, Jim, and and thanks for. You did a heck of a job, brother. I mean, you talk about the teacher and the student becomes the teacher, but you brought out a part of Roy that, and believe me, man, I'm the biggest sports fanatic in the world. When I don't care if it's professional tiddlywinks, if it's good, I'm watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But you never get to see that side of him, and I never would have known after all the times I've seen him doing these interviews. I never even knew that part of him. How cool is that?
Well, see, this is the thing. I was armed with this somewhat in that I follow Roy every day. I see the ebb and flow of where he is and what he has to say about life every day. And that's what motivated me. I was like, man, right now, this is the best time to have Roy on, because I know that he has stuff to say, and that's what made it so cool. I knew going into this where he's at right now. He's very passionate about this country, about humans and earthlings and this planet. And I just knew that the timing was right. So I want to thank you for that.
If politics was, I'll leave you with this. If politics wasn't such a brutal, nasty, very confusing, sacrifice your morals sometimes because it's what the program calls for, he'd probably be a great president, man, or a great social leader.
And he is all that in his own way. Thank you, Michael. Yeah. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy.
We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, buddy.
Great phone call. Thank you for that, Michael. And let me do this. And I am going to, I'm just going to go here next. It's really that simple. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, it's Carrie in Palm Springs. How are you?
How are you, Carrie?
I am absolutely fantastic. What an amazing, inspirational interview this evening with Roy Firestone. Wow. I'm still processing it. You're correct. Thank you so much. I mean, you're so amazing. You find such varied guests from such different, diverse backgrounds, and you give us such a treat. And tonight was really a treat. I mean, I feel inspired. I feel uplifted. I feel just like your previous caller. I mean, I think this is going to change, how I approach tomorrow. And I just want to thank you and to thank Roy and that story that he told about the 97-year-old man and Muhammad Ali. I mean, I'll never forget that story. I mean, I'm so touched and moved. And how is it for you to interview him? Like, what are you thinking as you're going through the questions? Like, I can't even, you did such an amazing interview with him. Like, how did you even approach and go from one subject to the next and draw out all that you did from him?
Well, look, I'm in a comfortable position knowing that I'm dealing with somebody that is professional. He's been there. Mm-hmm. He's done this so many times that broadcast and radio and television, all. This is Roy Firestone. So I know that going in. I'm allowed to be comfortable and knowing that wherever I take it, Roy's going to catch the ball. And so for somebody like me as a show host, now, like I said early on in the show, 10 years ago, the show would be impossible. It just, I'm out of my league. It's not that way today. I'm excited about hanging with, a Roy Firestone, and so that's why again, I said early, it's about sometimes things appear to be smooth and easy. Well, it's because I come prepared. Roy's prepared, and that's it's two people that can come together and play catch and do it. So no, it was very easy. It was a lot of fun. I was looking forward to it. I knew it was going to be this kind of show. Roy is always going to bring his A game. That's what he does.
Well, you both did. I mean, it was seamless. The rhythm, the lessons, the inspiration. Woo! It was off the charts.
Thank you so much, Carrie. And enjoy yourself. Have you got snow out there in Palm Springs yet? I hear it's coming.
Mountains are covered. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I saw some pictures today. It's insane. And out here in the valley, we've got 3 or 4 straight days of rain coming up, which means snow in our mountains too as well. Well, we'll see you tomorrow night, Carrie. Thank you so much.
See you tomorrow night. Thanks, Jimmy, for a great show. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And and Carrie brings up a really good point that, and I know for the audience that a show like tonight, I just knew it was going to be this much fun. And I want to thank Roy for that. Absolutely perfect show for me. There you go. There were some points Roy's watching on the camera, and I mean, he had me rolling, but I had to mute. I had to back off the mic because he's just a funny guy, and he had me rolling. And I know he was watching that and trying to see. I know what Roy was doing. He's trying to see if I can keep my composure. He's testing me. That was good. It was fun. He knew it. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hello, Jimmy.
Yes.
Hey, go back with Teppy.
Who's this?
This is Isaiah calling from San Jose, California.
Hey, Isaiah. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, after a show like that, what do you think?
Tremendous.
Yeah, when you hear, are you a sports fan?
Yeah, I'm a pretty big sports fan.
Okay, so you've been following Roy for years, right? And to have Roy on Fade to Black, What'd you think?
It was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie about that. Sorry, I'm trying to deal with the cold here. It's just my face is cold. I actually have a ski mask right now. I'm trying to battle it out.
Really? Why? Are you outside, or is the heat off?
No, I'm actually inside. I'm inside my apartment.
And it's that cold? You're wearing a ski mask in your apartment.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's something you want to admit to publicly. Don't.
Oh, I know. I understand.
Yeah, don't do a Facebook live stream right now with the face mask. You'll freak everybody out.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
So
that is not my intention.
So what's your takeaway? What'd you learn tonight?
What did I learn tonight? To be completely honest with you, I just tuned in right now because of the whole open line stuff. And I wanted to ask you one serious question and then one funny question.
Okay, go.
So the funny question, how can I maintain a gangster look like you?
What? Oh, man. Gangsta?
Yeah.
Oh man. I achieved my gangsta look by not shaving and wearing pajamas. That's what I do, man. I gangsta. Man, I've been called a lot of things, but I've never been called gangsta. Look, I'm wearing literally I've got just an average haircut. I'm wearing an Open Minds t-shirt. I do have some gangsta shoes on, though. Are you looking at the camera? Are you looking at the camera?
No, actually not.
Okay, well, look, I'll do this for the audience. Okay, I want everybody to look. All right, look at my gangsta shoes. I am gangsta. I got my Adidas. That's gangsta. That's gangsta.
Adidas is immediately gangsta.
Immediately gangsta. I only wear Adidas shoes. So I'm watching jackets too as well. And when I'm in the mood, I'll throw it all on at the same time. The other day, Rita and I went out with our daughter. And we had some stuff to do in the valley on Sunday. I'm not making this up, by the way. So Rita comes downstairs. I'm on the back patio with our daughter Deanna. Rita comes out, and she's got on an Adidas tracksuit.
Wow, just full blown.
Full blown. And I said, honey, you look absolutely amazing. I said, this is just too much. And I can't wait to show you off in public. Wow, wow, wow. Wheezies, the new black ones, too. She had black Wheezies.
Adidas, give Jimmy Church a call.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so what was the other question?
Second question, a little serious, might be a little funny, but regarding the bumper music that you use when you go into break and from break, I noticed that you sometimes have music when it's usually a guitar solo, correct?
Yes.
Or just a wicked shred of guitar.
Yes.
And I know you are a collector of guitars, so I want to know, is that you playing or is someone else playing?
No, that is Doug Aldrich. And that album is called Electrovision. You can get it. Electrovision by Doug Aldrich. I worked on that album. I think I have a credit. I think my credit on the album is assistant producer, production assistant, something like that. But I got a credit on the album. It's pretty cool. I did work on it.
What?
And thank you for noticing that. But yes, so the tracks that I've always have used those specific tracks. I've been thinking about going back and using some different stuff off that album. But yes, I have specifically picked out very cool sections there of blazing guitar solos. So yes, you're absolutely. It is queued up for a reason. And yeah. Maybe I've been thinking about doing some different music, but still from the same album because the album is incredible. One of the guys that sings on that album, his name is Ron Young. Ron is the singer for a band called Little Caesar. Great band. And he sings on one of the tracks, and I was thinking about using that track. But I think I'm going to have Ron on the show with me in a couple of weeks, and we're trying to line it up right now and get the day done. But so when Ron is on the show, you'll know, and then I'll play some other music from the album. One of those tracks he sings on is called Trash and the Fascination. So thank you for noticing that, Isaiah, and there you go. All right, Doug Aldrich, Electrovision.
Awesome, thank you. Because the few times where I've heard it, I actually I spoke to my brother and I, because him and I are also big fans. We were wondering, like, if that's Jimmy, damn, he's really good at playing guitar.
No, that's Doug Aldrich, and you're not the only person to say that and think that, and that's really cool. But there's just no way I can take credit for that. No, it's Doug Aldrich, and it's amazing. And so there you go. It's called Electrovision. One day I'll play some of my music on the air. I think I've done it a couple of times, but I'll do it in the future.
I would love to hear that.
Isaiah, enjoy your night, man, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go sit back and try to warm myself up with some River Moon coffee.
That's what I'm talking about. It's the only thing that works for me. Isaiah, we'll see you tomorrow night.
All right. Have a good night, Jimmy.
You too, man. Rita just said, "What are Wheezies?" I don't know. What are those shoes called? Aren't they called Wheezies? I don't know. Man, that shows you how gangsta I am. I don't know. I don't know the name of those shoes. But what a great show tonight. Thank you to Roy Firestone. Roy's links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. And his books are right there. The Amazon stuff is there. Head over to royfirestone.com. Also, you can follow Roy on Twitter at Roy Firestone, and then go chase him down over there on Facebook. All right. What a great show we've got tomorrow night. Yeah, we've got Zadok Ra Osiris with us tomorrow night. You're not going to want to miss that. Very special thanks to Roy Firestone. What a great conversation tonight. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camurian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black of the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll see everybody right here tomorrow night. Until then, be safe. Fade to Black.